Welcome to Gate City Insider. I'm Rosemary Plybon. It is back to school season, and even though this year looks a lot different, Greensboro is still home to thousands of college students. Today, we're spotlighting three of our higher education neighbors: Guilford Technical Community College, North Carolina A&T, and UNC Greensboro. We start with GTCC, founded in 1958 with just 42 students. And at the end of that first semester, 593 students were enrolled. Well, today, the school offers more than 80 programs and serves more than 35,000 students a year. Dr. Anthony Clarke is president. Welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for the invitation. Glad to be here.
So you've been at GTCC about a year. What drew you to this community and the college?
Okay, well, yeah, it's been 11 months, and it's been an interesting 11 months with the pandemic and all that. But really, I was down at president of Southeastern Community College in Whiteville. I was thinking about looking for another challenge, a different challenge. I never say a bigger challenge just because GTCC is a bigger college. It's a different challenge because every job has an equal amount of challenges to fill your day normally. But what drew me to Guilford County was, as I looked at different colleges, one, I liked that it was focused on one county. The college I was at in southeastern North Carolina had a one-county service area, so I sort of liked the idea that focused on one county. And secondly, I have a manufacturing background, so I thought it might be a good fit because, you know, Guilford County is a good manufacturing base. So when the job came open, I thought I'll go ahead and give it a shot, and was fortunate and honored to be selected to serve as president, and glad to be here and be in Guilford County and starting to get out. And I was starting to get out and meet people, and then we sort of took a COVID break, but now we're starting to get out and meet people again. So glad to be here, honored to be selected, and ready to do a lot of great work.
Of course, GTCC was founded to increase the technical skills in our community of our local workforce. How do you think that the school is living up to that, and in what ways?
Well, I think, GTCC has a great reputation throughout the state and through all the community colleges. And as far as serving the workforce, I think it also has a great and well-earned reputation for serving the workforce in Guilford County. Probably the premier program that comes to mind is our aviation program near the airport, where we have aviation systems technology, which is an FAA certified program. So you become an FAA certified technician, along with other programs that we have around aviation. We have about over 400 students that are enrolled in those programs that are serving companies around the airport. And so that probably is one, sort of premier program. But when you look at the fire EMS programs that we do, criminal justice, our health programs, our nursing program, our radiology program, all the different health programs we have, we have a very good job placement, and we're sending these individuals out into the community to serve the community and to help with economic development. And so I think when you look at all the technical programs we have in the building, here we have our machining program, our welding program, diesel, automotive. It just goes on and on, all the great programs we have to prepare people for careers in Guilford County.
You mentioned a lot of the popular ones and the ones that we hear a lot about. Are there some kind of hidden gems or programs that maybe don't get the attention that they should?
Well, we hope to have, our intent is never have a hidden gem. We all want all our gems to be known. But as I thought about that, I think one is avionics, which is aviation tech, the electronics within aviation technology. And that program is a little heavier in math maybe than the other programs, but definitely great jobs available in avionics, which maybe might be considered a hidden gem. Of course, we have supply chain management on our Cameron campus, health information technology. So getting into more of the, not so much the patient care, but all the different records and things like that run our healthcare system. And we have programs that prepare people to work in those types of jobs. We have a pharmacy technology program that once again has great job placement that runs out of our High Point campus, and people become certified pharmacy techs so they can work not only in retail pharmacies but also in the hospitals. Medical assistant. We also have a cybersecurity program that we could probably promote more. Cybersecurity, obviously a very big concern and growing concern. And of course, we have our diesel, and I mentioned our diesel and heavy equipment program. So I guess those might be the hidden gems, but we need to make sure they're not as hidden. So.
And the key to all these careers is you walk out and there's demand, high demand for all of these jobs that you're talking about.
No, you're exactly right. I mean, there are job postings out there that we need to fill. And that's one of the things that we need to do and improve is continue to work on is our partnerships with Guilford County Schools, with our employers to make sure that we're filling those opportunities. Of course, we have the Guilford Apprenticeship Program GAP that we work with very closely to do that, but there's more and more opportunities that we can do to try to fill the need for good employees in Guilford County.
Yes, we want to fill them with Guilford County residents. That's
yes, exactly.
COVID changed everything, of course. We have to talk about that. What specific things are happening at GTCC as a result?
Oh, okay. Well, I think we have had classes since mid-May. All right, we have had people on campus taking classes since mid-May, and we focused then on our industrial classes, welding, machining, where you could have social distance and still be in the labs. Beginning of June, we expanded that to include labs where you had physical contact, like dental hygiene, massage therapy, but then we put in other protocols to keep people safe. We took temperatures as people came in, whether faculty, staff, or visitors. And then in the summer, we were mostly online. For the fall, our online is probably 20-25% more than in past semesters. But what we're doing is, so we have online classes. When people come to campus, of course, since May, everyone's been wearing a mask. So we dictated that very early. Of course, we have all kinds of markings about social distancing. We've physically set up our classrooms for social distancing. We set up what we call paired classrooms, where the teacher's in one classroom with, let's say, half the class, and then the other half the class is another classroom watching the teacher on technology. That has worked okay. I think for the spring, we're going to go more to an A-B rotation, where students come in for one day, the other half the students stay home, and then they switch. We're finding that's more effective than the actual technology. So we're learning as we're going along. But we definitely have taken precautions in our classrooms. And of course, we encourage everyone to wash their hands. We increase the number of hand sanitizers. We have disinfectants everywhere. And really, the one thing I think has really helped us is we established a COVID-19 hotline internally. So students can call this hotline about any concerns about COVID-19, and employees. And, a student will call and say, I'm not feeling well, or we remind them, don't come in, and if someone's been exposed to someone who's had COVID, go get a test, and we start to manage that. Now, every situation's a little bit different, but the hotlines really helped us communicate with people and make sure people feel as comfortable as possible coming back to campus. So, our instructional approach has changed, but, none of our programs have been discontinued. We've just worked through it. We never closed. Even in the spring, we went online. And like I said, we came back in May, and we've been back ever since. And we've been slowly phasing people back onto campus. Yeah. And right now we're about at 50% staffing. And then once again, we're teaching our classes with a little more online instruction than we had in the past. Yeah,
that communication has been so key. Well, let's talk about the future a little bit, because a future without COVID, we hope. So we hear a lot in the community about this 60-30 goal, having 60% of Guilford County residents with a professional certification or degree by the year 2030, the 60 by 30. So explain GTCC's role in that.
Well, we're an integral part of that. I serve on one of the subcommittees with the Community Foundation of Greensboro. And our new Vice President of Continuing Education, Dr. Manuel Dudley, also serves on one of those committees. So we are intimately involved. And as we figure, right now the group is figuring out the employer demand of what kind of jobs they think they'll have in the future. And then our job will be to meet that demand. So we're an integral part of that, so we can hear what employers need, and then we can go ahead and either grow the current programs we have, or maybe even create new programs so we can meet those needs moving forward. So we are committed to making that happen. Of course, there's also My Future NC, which is similar, which is the 2 million North Carolinians with a credential beyond high school by 2030. So as part of the community college system, we're also committed to My Future NC. So yeah, that's a great initiative. We're looking forward to playing our part and making sure that we're providing the workforce that's needed for Guilford County, to your point, now and into the future, as we look at not only current employers, helping them expand, but also attract new employers.
And what else is on the horizon? I mean, that's a lot, but I'm sure there's other things that you have planned.
Well, that's I'm still planning. I'm still learning. Unfortunately, like I said, I've been here 11 months. About 5 have been under a global pandemic. So it's particularly through the summer, it was amazing how much time COVID-19 just took. Mm-hmm. Sometimes all day, that's all I spent my time on was, issues and things around COVID-19. But as we look forward, I mean, I think, as we just mentioned, I think we have all kinds of opportunities here at GTCC to better serve Guilford County. I think, we can increase our partnerships with employers and understand what they need. Whether it's through the 60 by 30 committee or through other efforts with apprenticeships, with GAP, we can continue to better serve our employers. I think, we can build better bridges from Guilford County schools to the college and then to jobs. And that's something else that we need to work on, and we can continue to improve that. We have Career College Promise, which is our free college program that we can also offer to more students in partnership with Guilford County Schools, because I think that's a great opportunity for students to begin their college career early and to sort of see what it's like to be in college and to be successful. And that's for technical programs, but we also don't want to forget that, we do a lot of work with college transfer and getting students to go to UNCG, North Carolina A&T, and other universities throughout North Carolina. So I think the articulation agreements that we have and those partnerships, we have dual co-admission agreements with UNCG and North Carolina A&T that we can expand. So, we're interviewing for some jobs here. And as I talk to the job candidates, I say we have an opportunity-rich environment. There's all kinds of things we can do, and we're looking to do all of them. And do so in a way that I should also mention, in a way that also addresses equity and inclusion and making sure we're reaching out to underserved populations more. There's all kinds of things we can do there to better serve everyone in Guilford County. Growing,
learning, getting better. That's what it's all about. Dr. Clarke, thank you so much. It was great to see you today.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Next on Gate City Insider, an inside look at America's #1 historically Black college or university, North Carolina A&T. Welcome back to Gate City Insider. Today we are focusing on a few of Greensboro's higher education neighbors, one of which Money Magazine just named America's #1 HBCU, North Carolina A&T. Todd Simmons is Associate Vice Chancellor for University Relations. Todd, thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Rosemary.
So tell me what initially drew you to North Carolina A&T.
I was working actually in another state out west and began talking with A&T, and it was very plain to me to see from even that distance the trajectory of the university, the strategic plan of the university, and most of all, I think the leadership of Chancellor Harold Martin, who's now in his 11th year, actually starting his 12th year as Chancellor of North Carolina A&T, and what a vision he had for the place. That's uncommon in higher education. You certainly see a lot of schools that succeed and have been around for quite a while. But to have somebody with the vision for the strategic planning and the discipline around implementation is quite a rare thing. And so I was excited to be part of it. The university's attributes were very interesting to me, and its ascent has only accelerated since I've joined the university. So it was an easy choice, and turns out to be validated every day.
Yeah, I bet so. Yeah, a lot of students are drawn to North Carolina A&T, the country's largest HBCU, graduating more African-American engineers and agricultural science grads than any other institution. Why is that the case, do you think?
And for folks who don't know, just so we're not talking over it, it's HBCU stands for Historically Black College or University. And this typically refers to the 107 institutions created in the 1890s or thereabouts, to meet the need of higher education, specifically for African Americans who, particularly in many southern states at that point, were still not being admitted to other colleges and universities. We've maintained that character to this day and continue to be a majority, supermajority African American institution, with about 80% of our student body remaining as African American. But as you know, we have a very storied history, a great dedication to the civil rights movement as well as to academics and education. And so as we've grown and that legacy has grown, and our leadership, frankly, in the STEM disciplines has grown, we've become a more and more attractive choice, a school of choice, as we say, for a great many students, not just in North Carolina, but around the country. And we see that showing up consistently year to year, with many more applications coming from around the country than they do here in North Carolina. We're sort of unique, I think, among the North Carolina institutions in our ability to say that. And in recognition of that, the university system has raised the cap on out-of-state students for A&T so that we can accommodate a little bit more of that demand. Frankly, we could probably double it and still not completely exhaust the demand for it. So we're very pleased to be in the place that we are as an attractive bet to students. Our entering student body this year had an average GPA of 3.62, SAT average, well over 1,000, SAT of 20. And so with that kind of academic profile, then you tend to draw more and more of those sorts of students.
Yeah, elite students, and of course, high quality programs, known around the country for the work that is going on, the research and the programs, but also I think the community, it seems like there's such a community around students and graduates and really faculty and staff there too. Can you describe that a little bit for those who aren't a part of that community?
I can, and for those who aren't familiar with A&T, we have a saying here, Aggie pride, which is expressed usually a lot more enthusiastically than I just did. I'm not so great at saying it, so I'll defer to some other folks to be able to conjure that for you. But it's always been sort of an interesting concept for me of just how proud and what an affinity our alumni and students have for the place. It wasn't until last year that we participated in a survey with the Gallup organization of University of North Carolina system alumni that we were able to quantify it. And what that turned out to be is a greater affinity level for A&T than any other university in the system, which, includes Chapel Hill and North Carolina State and some other great schools, UNCG, our neighbors down the street. And it wasn't just by a little bit, it was by quite a stretch. In fact, 96% of our alumni said that they would come back to A&T and earn their degree here all over again if given the opportunity to do that. And so that sort of brand affinity is something I think that in corporate America is very uncommon. In higher education, it's very uncommon. We're significantly above the national average with that kind of score. And we think it sort of puts a definition around Aggie pride. It helps people understand just how deeply it runs and what a special place this is for our students.
Yeah, that's passion. I mean, that's something you don't really teach. You kind of build it in the hearts of people. And so I think that is a true testament to the good things that are happening, not just in the classroom, but all over the campus there at North Carolina.
Sure. I agree.
A lot of attention surrounds engineering, of course, agricultural science at North Carolina A&T. What are some of the other programs that maybe don't get as much attention, but that are really producing strong graduates and great careers?
Sure. In Parks, Recreation, and Leisure Studies, we rank #1 in the country in production of African-American graduates. And master's degrees in mathematics, we rank #1 in the country in production of African-American graduates. And in a whole host of other disciplines like journalism, mass communications, physical sciences at the master's level, we rank among the top 5 in the country in terms of African-American graduates. A great many of those strengths are in STEM disciplines, but as you point out, some of them are visual arts. Visual and performing arts, for instance, is top 5, but not a STEM discipline. However, those STEM disciplines are so noteworthy that really is the preeminent driver of our national position. We were named this year by Money Magazine the #1 HBCU in the country, not just the largest, but the best.
So COVID, of course, has changed so much for so many people. What did those changes look like at North Carolina A&T this fall, and what really looks the same?
Sure. Well, like everybody else, we've had to pivot very heavily to online education. For the first time in the history of our university, we have a strong majority of our students who are taking some mix of online and in-person instruction. We're still delivering instruction, of course, in the classroom, but we have a significant number of students who are taking only online classes as well. In between sending students home in March and resumption of in-person instruction in August, we took extensive pains and preparations to make sure the campus would be healthy and that we could protect the health, safety, well-being of all students, faculty, and staff and visitors who come to our campus. And so what that looks like is heavily enforced social distancing, mask wearing, exhortations everywhere you turn to wash your hands, to maintain distance from other folks, signage in classrooms that establishes a maximum density for that classroom, maximum capacity. And within the classrooms themselves, many seats removed, other seats with signage between them saying, please, maintain 6 feet between you and the person next to you. Mm-hmm. The result of all of that planning and preparation has been a very low positivity rate on our campus. And we've been very fortunate not to experience clusters or outbreaks. And we think that also might say something about the students who go here, that for them coming to A&T is a very special privilege. They understand that. They want to take care. Beginning of the school year, we had a couple of impromptu gatherings pop up on campus. And it was interesting to me to watch upperclassmen tell the new students, don't be irresponsible. Don't get us sent home. We all want to be here. We all want to be around one another here in person. And so take your precautions. Take this seriously. And so we've managed to create that culture in a short period of time of compliance with everything that we know helps to prevent the spread of the virus. And so far, knock on wood, we're continuing to hold up with a very low positivity rate. Only a total, I think, since July 1 of 54 students and employees who have become infected. And of course, the strong majority of those have already passed through a quarantine period, asymptomatic, and are healthy and back at their studies and back at work. So we hope that trend holds even as we move into the colder months.
Yeah, we like to see that. The whole community likes to see that.
Sure.
So let's look away from COVID because we're going to get past this and move forward. What is on the horizon for North Carolina A&T? What should we be watching the university for?
The construction and expansion of campus continues. We're preparing next year to open our new $90 million engineering, research, and innovation complex that anybody who travels on Market Street has seen at the corner of Market and Dudley, that beautiful glass facade structure. That will open next year. Immediately after that, we'll start work on a construction of a new 450-bed residence hall to accommodate the continued growth of the student body, and renovation of several other older residence halls. We have a goal of growing to an enrollment of 14,000 by 2023. We're just under 13,000 this year, 12,754 students. And so we will add at least 1,300 over the next 2 years to get to that goal. And everyone, I think, feels confident on our end that we'll hit that and continue that growth. One of the secrets to A&T's success is that when times got difficult for historically Black colleges and universities a few years ago, with declining enrollments and difficulties with finances, rather than lowering standards, we decided to raise standards and to compete head-to-head with those large, big brand institutions that were swooping in and scooping up some of our traditional student base. And that has made all the difference for North Carolina A&T. We routinely now go head-to-head with other institutions, with students who frankly could go anywhere. Ivy League, any of the big privates, any large state university that you'd want to name. They have their choice, but they choose A&T. And for a great many of our students, it's because of the academics and the atmosphere. When you speak to people who have graduated from A&T, what they unfailingly say is that they know that everyone here, every faculty member, every staff member, was deeply invested in their success.
Well, we certainly are proud to have North Carolina A&T in Greensboro, and we want to keep as many of those fine graduates here in Greensboro as we possibly can. So thank you so much for your work there and for joining us today.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for the invitation, and ask us anytime. We'd love to be back on Gate City Insider again with you.
Thanks. Next on Gate City Insider, we're going to check out UNC Greensboro. Stay with us. Welcome back to Gate City Insider. It was 1892 when UNC Greensboro welcomed its first students to campus, known then as the State Normal and Industrial School. Well, lots has changed, of course, but the commitment to excellence in education remains the same. Julia Jackson-Newsom is Vice Chancellor for Strategy and Policy. Julia, thanks so much for joining us.
Glad to be here.
So tell me what initially drew you to UNCG.
So I completed my undergraduate education at Wake Forest University and my graduate education at Penn State. And to me, UNC Greensboro is the best of both of those worlds. So at the undergraduate level, Wake Forest is very much a smaller student-centered environment, really strong emphasis on the liberal arts. I got an incredible education there. I had a chance to get both breadth and depth at everything that I studied, and also had the opportunity to really get to know my professors, several of whom became very important mentors to me and I still keep in touch with today. Penn State, of course, is almost the opposite. It's a very large university. It's very much known for its research and has very strong programs in areas like engineering and agriculture. So pretty different. But there, as a graduate student, I had the opportunity to work with some of the best and brightest in their fields and be on the front lines of research projects that were generating really interesting and important new pieces of information. So UNCG is both of those things. It's both student-centered. We take the science and art of teaching very seriously. But it's also research intensive. So we do world-class research and have faculty who are leading experts in their fields. And that's kind of an unusual combination, and it means that our students get the opportunity to spread their wings both in and out of the classroom through coursework, through community engagement, through time in a research lab working with a faculty mentor, and through conversations with their faculty, who they really do have the chance to get to know well here, despite the fact that we are a fairly good-sized institution. And all of that's even more important for me, I think, as a native North Carolinian. A little known fact, but UNC Greensboro was one of the first 3 schools to form the UNC system. We have a long history of providing high quality education to students who may not have had easy access to that through the years. And so I love being in an institution where we serve a diverse student body that's really, truly representative of the state of North Carolina. And we do it well, and we do it with excellence.
You know, I think a lot of people who live in Greensboro and have been here for a long time feel like they know UNCG, but there's so much happening there that beyond kind of the drive-by that we see. I mean, some of the list right now, U.S. News and World Report's best colleges for 29 years, Princeton Review's best colleges for 22 years, Money's best colleges. I mean, this kind of goes, these best lists, it's on a lot of them and has been for a really long time. Why does UNCG keep showing up on those best of lists? What do people outside of Greensboro realize that sometimes we don't even know ourselves?
That's a really good question. And I can say, having grown up in Forsyth County, just a county over, I wasn't aware of what an incredible gem UNC Greensboro is when I was growing up either. I think it's a lot of things. I think, you know, when Chancellor Gilliam first started here, he challenged us as a campus to stop being the best kept secret. Because when he got here, people kept saying, you know, there's all these great things happening, but people don't know about what we're doing. And so we've worked really hard to try to come out of our shell, so to speak. I think part of it goes back actually to the nature of our student body, that we have for so long served groups of students who so appreciate being here and are so motivated to be successful because they have the opportunity to be here. And they appreciate that we challenge them, and their motivation and challenging themselves in turn becomes our motivation for us to challenge ourselves in the way that we're able to serve them. I think part of it too is from a leadership perspective. UNC Greensboro has been fortunate to have a long line of very strong leaders who took the mission of our institution very seriously, and pushed the university to continually change and evolve and grow to meet the needs of the student body, but also at the same time to never lose the core of who we are as an institution, and that caring aspect and that you know, feeling of family that you get on our campus, and never losing sight that we really here are first and foremost to serve our students. I know, you know, I can speak most directly to Chancellor Gilliam since I've worked for him for 5 years. He came in and, you know, said, look, let's take a good hard look at where we've been and where we want to go. And let's bring on board the people that we need to get there. He's created an incredible leadership team, all of whom are not afraid to ask the hard questions. And sometimes we make ourselves uncomfortable by pushing ourselves and realizing that maybe we need to be doing some things differently. But again, always coming back to that core, the core mission of who we are and remembering who it is that we serve. So I think that that idea of continual improvement, we have a strong liberal arts core here, but we also have incredible professional schools. UNCG fuels so many of the kind of foundational organizations in our community. We have a strong school of education, so we provide a lot of teachers to our local school districts. We have a strong program in public health, so across the state we provide a lot of public health workers. We have a strong nursing program, so we kind of think of ourselves as being part. We are really intricately woven into the fabric of our community, and I think once people get to know us, they want to know more, and then they want to join us.
And there really is a campus within Greensboro where it kind of feels like its own little world sometimes. Can you kind of share a little bit what campus life is like for a student?
Sure, I'd be happy to. If for folks who haven't spent much time on our campus, we really are fortunate to have a beautiful campus. We have some lovely older buildings And then we have a brand new building that will be opening up this spring, our new nursing and instruction building. Our groundskeeping staff just does an amazing job. And that's one of the things we'll hear from folks who haven't been here before, is just how beautiful and how big our campus is. I think that surprises folks. From a just a culture and climate standpoint, I love walking across campus. People are friendly here. You'll see students will actually stop and talk to you. I've had lots of conversations getting to know students in elevators. It's just, they want to tell their stories. And I think they appreciate that we want to listen to their stories. I'll come back to the diversity part of our campus as well. We have an incredibly diverse campus along many dimensions. We are actually a minority serving institution. That's a federal designation, because we have such a variety of students here. And it's really nice to see that diversity and to see people talking with each other out of their own groups. So it's a nice feeling to see them participating in activities together. We have a very engaged student body. So not only on campus, but they really like to get out into the city of Greensboro and our larger community, and get engaged in service. That's who our students are. They really want to make a difference. And I think you get that distinct sense when you walk around our campus and you listen to the conversations and you see the kinds of things that they're involved in.
Yeah, we can all, everyone can learn from that example too, I think, now more than ever. I know you talked about you don't want anything to be hidden at gyms at the school. You don't want to be, you want to be out there and people to know about it. And, you mentioned education, nursing, liberal arts. What are some of the other programs that maybe don't get the attention that they should, but, people are starting to take notice of?
That's a really great question. So I think one thing I will mention is our College of Visual and Performing Arts. And they do get, I think, a lot of attention within certain circles, but I'm not sure that people truly understand what an amazing program it is. Our performing arts folks, music, theater, dance, are really internationally known. And we have this huge music camp, which unfortunately we couldn't have this summer because of COVID, but it's the largest music camp in the country. And students come from all over just to have the opportunity to be here and work with some of our faculty and get that mentorship. So I think that's one thing I would definitely emphasize. I have a particular sort of favorite of late. We have a genetic kidney disease in my family. And so we have a genetic counseling program here. It's a master's level program. It's actually the only one in the state. Wow. It's a small program because it almost has to be given what they do, but it's critically important work, and they work with families who have genetic conditions and, talking to parents about family planning issues, and then preparing for if they have a child who's going to have a genetic condition. It's just a really important and meaningful program, and I think we're incredibly fortunate to have it here. And most recently, that program's been working closely with Cone Health because with the explosion of all of the genetic testing that's available now, there's a lot of uncertainty for most people about, well, what do those test results really mean for me and for my family?
Use that information, right?
Yeah, and so we're trying to work with them to better provide that kind of resource for our community so that they can better understand and know what to do with that information when they get it.
And that's definitely going to be a growing field, no doubt. You mentioned COVID, and we can't talk about anything right now, I don't think, without talking about COVID-19 and the effects that it has. Of course, it's changed a lot at the university, but a lot of things have stayed the same and are continuing. Can you kind of talk about what it looks like right now dealing with that?
Sure, I'm happy to. I'm the COVID co-leader, so to speak, with our director of emergency management, and it's been a challenge. And I think the hardest thing about COVID is that for a campus that so values community and so values being able to walk and stop and have those conversations with people as you're going to get lunch or walking across to the campus recreation center, and not being able to do that in the way that we used to be able to do it. It's been hard. But I am so proud of the way that our community has responded to this. Our students are doing an amazing job of following the rules. And, I have really felt for our young people with all of this. Our class of May 2020, who didn't get to have their in-person commencement ceremony and the pomp and circumstance that they absolutely deserved. Our newest freshman, whose experience is so different than what it should have been. And yet they're rising to the occasion and trying to make it work because they want to stay here. And I think that's been one of the most heartwarming things about COVID, if you're going to look for a silver lining, is realizing how much our students really think of us as being their home. This spring, when we had to ask students to leave, we had a process for students to petition to stay on campus, because we have some students who don't have another safe place to go. And reading those petitions was heartbreaking. Not only for the personal circumstances they were dealing with, but for the number of times that they said, please, please, I don't want to leave. This is my home. It's a wonderful thing to hear. I'm so glad we've been able to have them back on campus this fall. I hope we can keep them here. And, I hope that there will be an end in sight at some point, so that we can try to get back to and it will be a new normal, but we can get back to some of the things that are so valuable to our community in the future.
Yeah, we are all looking forward to that. Well, let's talk about the future. Let's move past COVID. Let's talk about what's on the horizon. What can we look forward to seeing at UNCG, and as a result of UNCG being part of our community?
Yeah, so, with all of this and with COVID, we are still extremely excited about the future. We are trying to use this as an opportunity to learn from our experience. And I think we actually have discovered that there's some things that, hey, the way we're doing it now because of COVID is actually more effective and efficient than the way we were doing it in the past. So that's a great thing. One of the things that we are trying to do right now is to streamline the business of being a student. We have a new Vice Chancellor for Enrollment Management, who really has come in and is trying to understand. We really want students to be able to focus on the substance of being a student, on their coursework, on the relationships that they develop, on thinking about what they want to do in the future and moving toward that. How can we make the process easier? All the kind of business stuff that has to get done when you're a student, paying your bills, getting registered for classes, navigating health insurance, all those kinds of things. So we are using this time to redevelop some systems and procedures, pull some folks together to work a little bit more collaboratively across campus, to hopefully make that easier. I think the other thing that we are always looking for is how can we be more responsive to the needs of our students, our community, our state, and our business community. What are the needs out there, the job needs that are going unfilled, and how can we tailor programs in order to prepare students to fill those roles? That's a win-win for us, because our students, want to be able to find jobs that are pay them well, and then and allow them to become contributing citizens who can give back to the community. And of course, we are of the community. So if we have needs out there that are going unmet, we want to try to help meet those. And I suspect with COVID that there are going to be some shifts along some of those lines. We'll see some businesses that may not come back, and then we may see some new businesses that begin to flourish and take off. And we want to be there so we can make sure that we're adapting programmatically as much as we can to meet those needs.
And we want to see UNCG graduates stay in Greensboro and contribute to our economy. It goes back to, we were talking in an earlier segment about the whole 60 by 30, 60% of our workforce having a degree or professional certificate by the year 2030. And UNCG is a big contributor to that. And we are glad you're in our communities. Thank you for visiting with us today.
Oh, well, thank you for having me.
Thanks so much. We want to thank our neighbors at GTCC, North Carolina A&T, and UNC Greensboro for joining us for this edition of Gate City Insider. And thank you for joining us as well. Tune in for an upcoming episode when we will explore some other higher education institutions in the Greensboro area. For now, thanks so much for joining us and hope you have a wonderful day.